Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Boca Goes Live. My name is John Thomason, managing editor of Boca magazine, and we are pleased to welcome today Leslie Gray Streeter. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, John.
Just a little bit about Leslie. Born in Hood-adjacent Baltimore City, Leslie Gray Streeter is a University of Maryland College Park graduate, a veteran journalist, and someone always looking for new ways to tell stories, both her own and those in her communities. And my favorite line from her bio is, she also really likes vegan cheese, because she's now a vegan and can't eat real cheese anymore, but she's mostly cool with it.
Mostly.
This spring, Streeter released her debut book, Black Widow, a sad, funny journey through grief for people who normally avoid books with words like journey in the title, and I made it all the way through it. I had a chance to interview Leslie back in March for a feature that will appear in the next edition of Boca magazine in just a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for joining us, Leslie. Oh, there she's got the book.
Thank you. I have a whole box that and we'll talk about the book tours that didn't happen. I have all these books I was supposed to sell on my book tour. So I've literally been selling them out of my house. People will go, hey, can I come get a book? And I'll go, COVID, Venmo me, I'll leave it on my porch.
That's good. I thought maybe you were selling them out of the back of a van in some parking lot.
That's next. I have to get a van, but I do have a very nice Prius that is a very big trunk. So.
Very good. So are you obsessively checking your Amazon ranking every day?
I am. And what's so funny, I just had a discussion. I mean, as most books, I will be honest, it's done okay. Because it came out literally the week before the pandemic went crazy. They canceled all my tour. Well, I got 3 things in, including the one thing I saw you at in Del Rey. But yes, and then last week I was on the Today Show. So I saw on Amazon there was an immediate bump for a couple days. The bump is mostly back down here, but it's still doing pretty good in Kindle. So I'm like, okay, so we'll see next week what the numbers are. But yeah, I looked the first couple of weeks and then it went flat because, you know, everybody was home and sad and tired and poor. So I stopped looking, and then last week I looked and was really happy with the and that's just Amazon. I was happy with the Amazon numbers again, and now I'm okay with them, but it's still doing pretty good in Kindle.
And for people who haven't seen any of your appearances yet, your virtual appearances, your very few, as you mentioned, in-person experiences, do you want to give us your sort of elevator pitch synopsis of what Black Widow is?
Yes, what I said before to someone before I even sold it was, it's like the year of magical thinking, but funnier and with Black people. Which is, it's what is basically, it's the story of the first year of my widowhood after my husband Scott died in 2015. And it goes almost exactly a year from the end of July to the end of July the next year. And it's about everything you might imagine. It's about grief and how to sort of reconcile this thing that happens to you suddenly, where your designation on things, are you single, are you married, are you widowed, what's that? You know, to single parenthood and completing the adoption of our child who lived with us. You know, we were in process of adopting, finalizing that. My mom moving in with me, sort of on a sort of higher level, race and religion and people's stupid assumptions and journalism and aging and should you date again and how do you do that at 45 when you weren't supposed to be single again, and why does everybody suck, you know? So it's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's really a lot in this book, and here it is again for people who want to see it. It gets into your to growing up as well, and it gets into things like race, and it gets into like you said, legally adopting a child that was already living with you, but now just suddenly became so much more complicated because of what happened.
It did.
And with so many people now having read the book and getting to know you through the book, what have readers connected to the most?
I think that it depends on who you ask. I had a discussion with someone yesterday who was in the grief community, like myself, that when you're talking to people who have also lost people, particularly recently, they connect to, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. People who are in the adoption community have said, thank you for talking about the hoops and the waiting and all that stuff that people don't know about because they see adoption as a thing on TV where you go and here's your baby and you cry and then you got matching outfits on. It's not that usually. People have connected to the aging part, or the living with one's parents, you know, tomorrow, or there's so much, you know, that people have connected to. But I think for me, it's just been that whatever I'm saying it in a very kind of plain, non-fancy, accessible way. So when people go, it's not clinical. I'm not like a therapist who has 5-10 steps for something. I'm not, you know, eloquent in that way. I do use curse words, and I like, you know, jazz hands and spirit fingers and all that stuff. So I think that whatever it is I talk about, I think people connect, that I'm trying to connect with them as a person.
Lots of pop culture references too. You can very much tell if you read your column that this is the same person that wrote this book.
It's the same person. You can tell how old I am. What I love is when I first started, I was at the Post, I was in my early 30s, and people would be like, well, you know, people thought that I was younger than I was. So there was this pressure to like be cool, or there was a pressure. It's so funny, I'm wearing a Who shirt because I reviewed a Who concert once, and I literally had a typo. I had the name of a song wrong, and it wasn't even just that I got it wrong, and I'm really sorry, I corrected it. It's that I'm a woman and I'm Black and I'm young, so how dare. So I was out of my element anyway. It's like, y'all make mistakes. It was just, and it was embarrassing professionally, but also it's like, shut up. Sorry, I shouldn't have done it. I made a mistake. Shut up. But it's funny that you know, when I first started, there was this impression about who I was and what I was supposed to be about. And with pop culture, I tried to sort of at first be kind of general, and I thought, you know what? I was born in 1971. I grew up watching both The Fresh Prince and The Breakfast Club. And, you know, I could have been any of the characters on Living Single, all of them. And I was in love with Ethan Hawke, you know, and that's how old I am. So I could appreciate things that are 100 years older than me, and I can appreciate things that are 30 years younger than me. But I'm a Gen Xer. That's what I do.
Oh yeah, Before Sunrise is the greatest. If I was Julie Delpy, I would have fallen for him, right?
Oh my gosh! So Before Sunrise, and you don't want to get me on this rant, but maybe you do. I will just say that series of movies is devastating, because you're watching. It came out, you know, those I'm the same age almost exactly as those characters. So watching them be, when we were all going to go to Prague, you know, and walk around. I had that outfit she had on with the little black slip dress with the white t-shirt. I had that. I owned that. And we were all going to fall in love with a floppy haired guy. I fell in love with a couple. It was very brief, but not anywhere interesting, like Cincinnati, like not, you know, Prague. But anyway, so we had this moment. So then there's a moment, you know, it's inconvenient that he's married, but his marriage isn't doing good in the second movie. And then they're together and they're miserable. And you're like, ah! You know, it was just brilliant. I really enjoyed those films.
You're speaking my language. Richard Linklater is the best director in America today.
I can't even, I'm getting nutty. I really believe, and I have many favorites, but he has no problem doing painstakingly long character studies and hoping that it works. And then everyone's still alive in 20 years. I mean, it's really great. He's done a great job.
And speaking of pop culture, my favorite reader comments that I pulled about your book, and this sounds like something that you would have written, Leslie. It says, if Tyler Perry's Medea and Fran Drescher's The Nanny planned a funeral, this is what would happen.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Although I will say that my family is not so, like, we're not messy like Medea. We're a little more proper. It's like some of Medea's relatives were a little more proper, although those are the ones you aren't supposed to like. The bougier of Medea's relatives, those are my relatives. You know, we're not like cussing people out at the funeral. We will do it maybe after, but not during. We are classier than that. But yeah, the Fran Drescher thing, absolutely. I love her so much. Her show just got canceled. I'm really mad.
I know. Well, you sort of touched on this earlier, but you had all these in-person dates on the books that had to be canceled or moved online because of COVID. What's it been like touring? I use that lightly in the age of COVID.
You know, I am busier now than I would have been, because you would have been busier. I was worried about the travel. Would I be tired? Would I have, because I had one Mother's Day weekend. I was supposed to fly in to Maryland, do a meeting at the University of Maryland about doing some alumni stuff. Then I was supposed to go to Baltimore, No, so to go to my sister's house, then go to a book club in Montgomery County with my friend Patty's friends, then drive to Baltimore and do my friend Melanie's Black Social Female Consciousness book. Melody's in the book. She's the one I do the fireball shots with. Do her book club. Then I was supposed to do a reading at a bookstore down the street in Fells Point in Baltimore. And then the next day, I was supposed to do a reading at the Poe House, the Edgar Allan Poe House. So, and then I was going to go to my grandmother's to have dinner and then pass out. So that was going to be a very busy weekend, and I was really concerned about it. I was really concerned about having to do all that, and was I going to be worth anything, and would I be too tired? And then none of that happened. Several of those things did happen online, or going to happen. The August, one of the book clubs has been kicked, and then I have hopefully be able to do the other one the next time I go to Maryland. So we'll see.
Well, has it been easier to be interviewed in this environment now? Nobody has to fly you places anymore?
It's been easier in that it's much easier to schedule and connect. It's been honestly exhausting. Like I told you, I've had several of these today. Well, I had a pre-interview today, and I have this. I have 3 tomorrow, both for the Post, because I still have a job. So I'm interviewing and writing. And then I have some interviews for the book. And I have 2 full-time jobs right now and don't always leave my room. So that's both, it's convenient, but it can be kind of claustrophobic in that, because at least on a tour, you actually get to go somewhere. Even if you only see the bookstore in your hotel, you took a picture and said, look, Seattle. I wasn't going to Seattle, but it's a city that I'm not going to anyway, because I'm here in my room.
Well, and in terms of dealing with social distancing, like on a day-to-day level, I would imagine that you're kind of a huggy person. How are you handling this?
I am such a huggy person, dude. And I probably hugged you when I met you, because I hug. I think I probably said to you, I hug, and then no hugs. So
yes, with gloves on at the time.
Yes, I did. I had purple gloves on like I was a Bond villain. It was excellent. I have been doing a lot of air kisses. I hug the people I live with. Last week, because Hoda and Jenna said you could do this, I've been doing, like, you crook your arm in their arm, and then you lean with your heads away from each other. So you've got like a physical touch, but you haven't coughed on each other, because your faces are never closer than this away.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's nice. It's nice to have physical contact with people. I'm so huggy, and it's been so hard, because literally my best friend lives down the street, and I see her frequently, like from the porch, and it's hard, but at least I get to see her face. First we were trying to talk through the door. We're like, this is stupid. So literally, if she's on the porch, I'm on the steps, so we're far away from each other, but I can like see her face like a human.
Yeah, well, this is the time for an alien race to descend upon us and assume this is how we act all the time, bending ourselves into pretzels to try to find some way to touch without touching.
And they'll be like, you are weird, man. Y'all are weird. I don't understand what they do.
Now, you are, as you mentioned, a longtime journalist for the Palm Beach Post, and newspapers were not an industry that was really doing gangbusters business before the coronavirus hit, and subsequently has sort of devastated advertising, among many other industries that have been hurt by the economic situation. How has the mood been at the paper? Have there been layoffs, furloughs, things like that?
Well, we have had furloughs starting in, this is public knowledge, starting in April, May, and June. We've had 1 week per month of unpaid furlough. We had some layoffs not long before that, like right before my book came out, so like late February. But we're still, I gotta say, we're still putting out a paper, and it's hard because we're not in the newsroom right now. We're all working from our individual places. We are doing more and more in-person interviews and covering things and stuff. So we're getting back to that, but You know, I've found that I think once again I work harder. Maybe it's because I'm overachieving and I want to make sure that people know that I'm working really hard. So I'm emailing people, I'm working. And they're like, we know, go to bed, go to bed. And I'm as a workaholic who doesn't sleep enough. I start emailing people at 4 a.m. I don't expect you to get it then, but you know, I think that we're working really hard. It's not ideal. None of this is ideal. It wasn't, as you pointed out, ideal before COVID, and it's not ideal now, but I think that we are doing a work to tell people what they need to know and some of what I hope they want. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you are like me in the sense that we both cover the entertainment beat in normal times. What do you miss about not having events to write about for the past 3 months?
Oh my gosh, I miss people. I mean, and it's just the same kind of thing, like the same thing when covering food, not doing it right now, not in person, or bars or anything of that nature, anything that was social, because it was exciting to see who you were going to run into. So from the journalistic side, it's exciting when you have people to talk to because you're like, hey, it's a scene and who's here in the scene and you're painting the scene. And when there's no scene, it's not as much fun to do. So I miss that. I miss the people.
Yeah, I've been scraping the barrel in terms of finding things to write about for my 3 blog a week quota. So I've been writing about puzzles and Netflix and books and things that I never really touched on. It's been the challenge has actually been pretty fun.
It's a challenge, yeah.
And have you been going out to any stores and restaurants since they reopened?
I had I'm not eating inside restaurants. I did a staycation at the Palm Beach Marriott on Singer Island about 2 weeks ago, and I mostly they're suites, you know, so you have like almost a full kitchen and you know a bedroom and stuff. So I brought some food with me. I brought my own box of wine with me because box of wine, and we ate a lot of meals in our room. We ate a couple times on the patio. And there was one point where it was raining, just raining really hard. So we asked them to seat us at a table that was away from everybody else, and it was near the door. So I felt and they promised, yes, we just washed everything, whatever. And we didn't have any contact with anyone who wasn't the server, and the server was wearing a mask. So I felt pretty safe. And then I went to the Colony Hotel, which is where I got married, for brunch on Sunday. And once again, everything is outside. You can't even go inside to the bathroom. You have to use the bathroom around from the pool. Silver's wearing masks. Everyone is very far away from each other. I feel very safe doing that. That's as close as I'm getting to anybody. Like that, mostly my social things have involved, like I said, people sitting on my porch over there on my porch.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went the other day, I felt bad because Winn-Dixie has like the dedicated hours to people who are at risk, like older people. And I went to Winn-Dixie at 7 a.m. because I was getting things for mimosas for my Today Show thing, and I had to go early. And I thought, I'm not supposed to be here. This is for the old people, and I'm buying champagne. But everyone was very nice. And I do live with my mother and my son. So she's older and he's younger and has asthma. So honestly, it was okay for me to be there because I'm at the point that will not put them at risk with me coming back. So that was my explanation for buying a lot of wine at 7:30 in the morning.
I find with going to the supermarkets that like in March and early April, it felt really weird. Even going to the supermarket, I didn't want to touch anything. There was a nervous energy around the supermarket. And I feel like we've kind of settled into it now, and it's just a normal thing now going to the market.
I feel like it is a normal thing, and it's people are much more used to being people. When I went to Publix the first couple of weeks, and people were just skittish. It was like a hurricane, but on acid. They're like, buy all the stuff and do all the stuff. And there was like a guy who was really rude to me because I was trying to be very conscious. I was on the other side of an aisle at the Publix on Belvedere near my office, and I was making sure everyone had a chance to go through, but the guy didn't see me, so he assumed no one was in line after the person that was at the counter. So he got in line and said, excuse me, sir, I'm here. I didn't threaten to beat him up or throw my card at him or pelt him with Rice Krispies. And he was so rude. And he was like, from back there. And so then he's watching me the whole time. He gets behind me, he's like, you're touching your face. You're touching your face. I'm like, you know what, dude? I was like, and he was stressed. Like everyone is stressed, but you know, keep it down. I've been ordering a lot too. I will go out and then sometimes we will order shipped or Instacart or Amazon delivers from Whole Foods. So
absolutely. Well, I'll say one more thing about supermarkets before we get off this topic. Those unidirectional patterns that they put into the ground, and you can only go on, complete waste of time. No one pays attention to
No one pays attention to it. And I do, and then I look like the idiot because I'm standing on that little like square like you're in a big game of Twister. You know, I don't know what to do. Where do I go next? They're like, nobody cares.
It's like, I really want to go in aisle 5, but I have to go all the way around through aisle 4 and then through the other side of aisle 5. No, I'm just going to go
want anything in aisle 5. I don't want anything there.
So now you've recently covered the Black Lives Matter protests in West Palm Beach. Really excellent article that was written with you and 3 of your colleagues.
Yeah, because it was every shade of, it was me in the morning, it was calmer, and then there was the very still peaceful protest on 95, which someone else did, and then there was all hell broke loose at the Best Buy. Yeah, so.
So you were out of there well before.
I was there in the original protest that was in the afternoon, where they walked around Rosemary Square, went to all the city buildings, knelt in this beautifully moving fashion in front of, like in the median between where Rosemary Square is and the fancy hardware store.
Right, Restoration Hardware. Yeah.
Yes, the fancy thing and the hotels. It's that median, and they knelt for the amount of time that George Floyd's neck was knelt on, about 8.5 minutes. And that was beautiful. I was out there for about 2.5 hours with them, and it was great.
And what was it that most stuck out with you?
How young these kids are. That they were out there. I talked to this girl, and I said, so why are you here? And she said, she was African-American, or maybe people would call me. And she said, I have a Black boyfriend, a Black brother, a Black father, and are they next? And it was so moving to see that these kids who were 20, 25 are out there. It was hot, man. It was hot that day. And they're out there trying to lend their voice. And it was really moving and really beautiful. It makes you think about what's important to you and what you're doing about it. So.
And why do you think that the murder of George Floyd ignited such a global movement in a way that previous police shootings of unarmed Black people have not?
Because of the video. I think that because of the video, and that you see the smirk on that man's face, and you see this man knowing that he's dying, pleading for his life and pleading for his mother. If you're not moved by that, you're evil, and I don't want to know you. Yeah,
it's harder to watch than anything in the worst horror movie, you know.
Yeah, it was very awful, and that they denied this. There was no reason to do that. He couldn't go anywhere. He didn't have any weapons. He was handcuffed. It was as they say, the cruelty was the point. And because they would have found some way, and did find a way before the video came out, to deny it, you know, and say, oh, I don't know if you've read the original report, was they noticed he was in distress. Oh, did you? Was it because of your knee? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, ugh. Yeah.
Now you're not a political reporter, but everything is political these days, from police violence to the coronavirus, of course, to sports. When you look at the outspoken athletes and NASCAR banning the Confederate flag and the backlash that's happened because of that, has it become harder to write about these issues without betraying some kind of a political bias?
Here's the thing, and I'm going to say something that might not make sense. Whether my life matters is not political. That's not political. It's political to people who don't care about it unless it affects them, and it's a vote. It's not a voting thing to me. It's why I have to tell my 6-year-old son he can't go outside on the porch with his Nerf gun, because I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression and think it's a weapon. That's not political to me. That's whether I get to live. So I have no problem being honest about that. I don't talk about how I vote. I don't talk about, certain things. I think like science is science. So the environment's crappy. It's true. You can make it political if you want. It's a thing. COVID is a thing. It's killed people I know. So you can say that's political if you want. It's stupid if you do, because science is a thing. That man got killed on a video. That's nothing political about it. I believe that there are people who have made political points about now here's where we're going to act like we're concerned. Or now say we're the NFL, who literally lost players and threw them to the wolves for money, and then put out a statement that goes, what? We're just now hearing of this. What do you mean? Yeah. Police, I'm writing it down. Police brutality. Get out of here with that. That's making it political. Writing the truth, particularly when I talk to people like that young woman I spoke to. When she talks about her family and her life, there's not a political, there's not a scheme, there's not an angle, there's not a plot. It's, can I leave the house and not get shot today? So I think that it depends on what but it is hard sometimes. I will say it's sometimes hard. I want to say there are things on Twitter that I want to like and go, oh, I can't like that. That is difficult. I have to be careful what I am outspoken about. And you will never hear me talk about how I vote. You will never hear me say anything specifically bad about elected officials. Usually, no, you don't. I do not get political in that way. What I talk about, to me, are things that are incontrovertible, like my right to breathe.
None of what you're saying sounds controversial at all to me. I think for people who spend their days in the cable news and talk media bubbles, which I do, tend to see politics and everything, but most people don't see through the world that way, through a political lens.
No, and you have to. You just you have to get good at separating. Okay, can I get away with saying this, first of all? And if I don't think I can, I don't say it. But if it's something like whether I get to breathe, I'm going to be very open about that. And I'm interviewing people this week about being a father as an African American and what that means. And they're welcome to talk about anything they want. I'm not going to censor them. I'm not going to go, we can't do that, because that's what they said. Because they feel it too.
Yeah. Well, Leslie, I want to thank you so much for the time today. And what we're just talking about segues into our conversation next week. We will be back with you on June 25th at 4 p.m. with Dr. Kitty Oliver, discussing race and change with our editor, Marie Speed. So thank you so much, Leslie, and have great Zoom meetings coming up.
Yay, you too. Enjoy. I know Marie, she popped in earlier, so I will catch up on that.
All right. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye.